Hi, I'm Derek Greenacre, and welcome to this edition of the Prayer House Radio podcast. I'm talking to Forchie. Hello, Forchie.
Hello, Derek.
And
hello, everyone.
And we are talking about questions that atheists are dying to ask Christians. So whether you're an atheist or not, these are interesting questions and hopefully interesting answers as well. First question, what is the foundation of your belief in God?
Wow.
Forchie,
beliefs, foundations. Well, going back, I grew up in a Christian home, which meant mom and dad were both Christians. Grandparents were Christians. I am fourth generation church leader in my family. And so I've got this strong foundation that's been laid over years and years and years by my previous generations. And so that kind of gives me a stepping stone. But as many of you would have heard this before, if you're born to a doctor doesn't mean you are a doctor. If you're born into a Christian family doesn't make you a Christian. That's not how faith works in Christianity. However, in some religions, that's exactly how it works. However, in Christianity, each person finds Jesus for themselves. So for me, the foundation of my faith is it's based on me realizing that I am incomplete without Jesus in my heart. I am incomplete without him restoring me and rescuing me from my brokenness. And so it all began with that awareness in myself where I realized actually, however hard I try, because trust me, I did try hard to be perfect, to do all the right things in my own strength, I just kept failing, like we all would, and we all do if we tried. And so and then for me it was a much easier transition because it was almost like my parents had given me an answer to that problem, but that did not mean that I very happily accepted it at that time. My foundation began at that realization that actually I'm not very good at this life thing unless I go to God and say, God, help me, please.
Do you know, it's very similar for me. On the subject of setting a foundation with parents and things, I had exactly the same as you. My parents were Christians, my grandparents were Christians, it goes on.
Yeah.
In fact, my grandparents were Christians and teachers.
Yeah.
And so were my parents, and so am I.
Amazing.
My wife, however, had a completely non-Christian background, went along to Sunday school because it was a thing that you did.
Yeah.
And then a friend of hers got terminally ill, I think, and died. And God revealed himself to her through that. Yeah. So that was a completely different background situation there.
Yeah. And, I don't know about you, but for me, the older I've gotten, those foundations have gotten stronger and a lot more stable. I want to use the word stable because I think a lot of times foundations can be shaken up. Both you and I could probably name people, friends who were once Christians and are not Christians anymore, have, for whatever reason walked away or have gotten distracted in their journey of faith with God and their walk with God. But for me, one of the things that's really helped me get those foundations rock solid is the more questions I ask, the answers that I find are, it seems that my answers always bring me back to God. I think he has a sneaky way of doing that. Here's a question, big life question. What am I alive for? What is the big purpose in my life? Why am I alive today? What am I achieving? And every time I ponder on those things, it seems that my answers are always incomplete unless I include God in them.
Sure.
So that makes it even more solid, if that makes sense, the foundations.
As you were talking, an extra dimension to this came to me, which is, often people say, well, they try and talk you out of having a faith. But for me, a faith it's a personal thing. It's me personally having a relationship with God. God, through Jesus, shows me so many things. And it's like saying, you got a friend, but that friend doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You can't sort of say that because it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And you can't persuade me that relationship doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because it does. It's there all the time. There are all sorts of things where God goes, hang on a minute.
That's right.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And so, although there's a sort of an exterior sort of logical sort of way of thinking about faith, at the end of the day, the nucleus of it is that it is a personal thing, which is, to me, unshakable. You can't just suddenly not have it anymore.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yes. Yeah.
So the foundation of my belief in God is based on, I think, largely on that personal relationship.
Yeah. And it's real, isn't it?
Yes, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Like, God is real for me, and I'm sure for you. It's like you were saying, as you were speaking, I was just thinking of, like, if someone slapped you in the face, you can't just say, that didn't happen.
No.
It's like, you felt it.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
That just happened. And someone very helpfully used this analogy of when explaining about how real God is to them. It's like, he's as real as the skin on my flesh. It's like, I can feel it. I know it's there. It's always there. It's like, I can, it's almost like I touch it and I know it's there. Is that relationship is so real. It's, it's like, you can't tell me it's not there because it's there. It's not an imaginary friend.
Yeah,
it's not a unicorn in the sky. It's not some magical fairy image that I conjured up in my dream. It's like, no, this person is real.
Real, yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably do the entire podcast on just this. I get the feeling we would just be away on this, but I'm going to move us on. Okay. And this one is, next question, how do you reconcile science and religion?
Wow.
That's a knotty one, isn't it?
Hey, great question. Whoever's asking these questions. Science and religion. To me, I think there is fundamentally a flaw in the question. I don't think they need to be reconciled. I think one proves the other. And so in my own journey, science just gives me more and more reason for me to believe that there is a creator, that there is a God, and that everything that you can think about and you discover, all the discoveries, all those things continually keep pointing to this explainable fact that there must be a creator, because a human mind couldn't have possibly come up with this and by itself. And also, this cannot just be an accident, like a freak accident, like a big bang. It's like, boom, this just accidentally happened. One of the most helpful little exercises that I've come across is someone tried to, is a useful analogy to use, is describe something that can fly, that can land vertically and take off vertically, like go up and down without, any need of extra gush of wind or air to help it go up and down. It can, fly across different regions and it can land and take off. If I was describing this, what comes to your mind?
Well, I was going to say helicopter until you said gush of wind.
Right. It feels like I'm talking about a helicopter, and I could be talking about a helicopter, but I could also be talking about a dragonfly.
That needs gush of wind.
Yeah. So a dragonfly can land, can take off, can go to different places. And, like these things, I came across an incredible video where a group of scientists had put together where they basically found things that were created by man, like a spiral staircase, and how it looked exactly the same from an aerial point of view. It looks exactly the same as a fossil or a snail's shell that looks like that. How these things are already inspired in nature, and how man is using nature and what God created to be making our own designs, interpreting it to our own world, and how we didn't come up with this all of a sudden. There is a creator who's given all the inspiration we need. And so to me, a question like, how do you reconcile science and religion? Actually, science only helps my faith in God.
Yeah. So my take on this, and I do agree with you.
Yeah.
My take on this is, I was a science teacher.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trained as a science teacher.
Yeah.
But I was also a Christian.
Yeah.
And so from very early on, I remember reading how does, science and religion, how does that work together? And I remember thinking, I've got to have an answer for this.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time, I think.
Yeah.
But my way of looking at it is this, that God's, if you look at the way in which God operates, God's not just simply on a human level at all. He's way, way bigger than this. God knows a lot more about what goes on than humans do. If you look at science, say 100 years ago, 200 years ago, the things that we take for granted because science has discovered things. Now, if you'd look back 200 years or 100 years ago and told people what science would have discovered in 100 years in the future, they would have said, wow, that's amazing. And yet we take them for granted. Because human brains have kind of figured this out. Okay? And human brains will carry on. If someone could look forward to 100 years in the future and say what science has come up with by then, we'd go, that's amazing. Because at the minute, we don't know about it. Okay? So therefore, human brains are continually discovering things and refining things and moving on. But God is already there. So God knows the end, if you like, the end result, if there is such a thing in infinity. But that's a whole nother podcast. But the thing is that God knows where everything's going. Humans are on a process of discovery. So science is a process of discovery of where God's already been. Okay? So science maybe at some point might reach a point closer to where God's at. But human discovery is a gradual process. And so science is work in progress. God's perfect, got there already. Won the prize,
absolutely,
etc. So my view about reconciling science and religion is science is work in progress. God's finished that process. And is already there.
And I think what we've both done is, which might help the listener as well, I think, is instead of looking at this as science versus religion, I think it's a very helpful thing if you just change that perspective to see science and religion. I think if you try and put one versus the other, then you're looking for conflict. Whereas if you put these two things together, then you're looking at something that's beautiful, something you're looking for, that reconciliation of the two worlds, and how everything has got this amazing purpose and plan and design behind it.
Indeed. Time to move on.
Sounds good.
We'll do one more, shall we?
All right. Yep. One more.
Okay. Right. This is another knotty one. Why is faith in God necessary? The word necessary, right? Necessary for morality.
Short answer is because I don't trust myself.
There is that. I think that I'll give you a quick my view, and then you can expand.
Absolutely.
I think that through the Bible, the Bible gives us, and it's God inspired. So the Bible gives us a set of rules. 10 Commandments being part of that, but the greater Bible also being part of it. A set of rules for life that'll work.
Yes.
And if you stick to them, you're fine.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
If you stick to them in truth and not just pretend.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But basically, that's what that's all about. So, and also, I think God shows you things as well. We were talking earlier about that, weren't we? So God shows you things through your relationship with Him, in particular for you.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a strong sense of morality through the Bible, through God speaking to you. Yeah. Those sorts of things that have been proven over a long while, actually, to work well in society.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. And I think also, just going back to my short answer is, and how we started this podcast today, of my realization that I am flawed without Jesus completing me, because in my own self, the me without minus Jesus is very tempted to lie, is very tempted to steal, is very tempted to be dishonest, is very tempted to take shortcuts in life, is very tempted to do a lot of things that I should not be doing. And so if it was completely up to me, if I made myself the God that I worship, I would be a wretched person. I'd be a terrible person. I'd be a very bad friend. I'll be a terrible husband, a really bad role model for my children. But that just makes me realize that actually I need someone who's bigger than me, who is really not human, because any human would have the same problems that I'm facing in themselves. And so that points me to God again. And that just referring back to the 10 Commandments that you were saying, like the kind of the rule book, beginning with the Jewish nation and then inspiring the Christian world even till today. The 10 Commandments. It's amazing that the first. I just had to double check before I say that, and I was right in saying 10 Commandments primarily teaches us how we relate to God, and that is the first 4, and the rest, the 6, is how we treat others. It just teaches us, like the first 4 is about God and how we relate to Him and how we behave in that sense with us and God, and the 6 is about how we treat each other, how we treat your neighbor, how you treat your mom and dad, how you treat, it's rules, but actually it's a guide to how you live life. And interestingly, Derek, just going back the time before the 10 Commandments, you go back as far as the Garden of Eden, which if you don't believe in the Christian version of the creation story, here's it in a nutshell, is that God created heaven and earth, and He created Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, and placed them in a garden. And before the brokenness entered this world, which in Christian language we would call sin, before that, there was only one rule He gave them, which was, don't eat from this one particular tree. And it turns out, as you read from that point on, as humans kept breaking rules more and more and more, God had to give us more rules. He wasn't a God who came with a rule book to begin with. He didn't come saying, here's 150 rules that you have to live by. He was saying, no, here's a beautiful place that you and I can have a relationship in. You and I can, spend time together. There's only one thing you need to stay away from, is this tree. And so, when Adam and Eve broke that rule, there were more rules now. And when the people of Israel broke more rules, as you know, it gets to, if you read the Bible, it gets so silly to a point where God has to explain like even simple things like, don't sleep with your father's wife. Don't sleep with your brother's wife. Don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't lust with, against your neighbor's wife. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. And he has to break it down so much because, you know, as humans, we just kept going away further and further and further away from his original plan for us, which was to have a relationship with him. And so I think going to that question about morality is it is necessary that we depend on someone who's bigger than us for morality, because we in our own selves, we're not enough. You look at the world today. I think pretty much everyone would agree that the world today and the politics today is all so messed up in so many ways, and nobody seems to have the answers that the world needs, in quotes. But I think there are a lot of answers if we would just look to someone who is not human, someone who's bigger than us, and someone who has overcome all of this and is giving us that guide to live by.
So you were talking about, thank you for that. You were talking about, humans and needing the rules.
Yes.
As a teacher,
yeah.
Children are very good at playing with the rules and finding out what happens if you kind of try and get around it.
Yes.
And humans, it's human nature, isn't it? And so that's why you need to have a strong rule system. One thing that you haven't quite said the word yet, but without making it into a whole podcast on its own, I was going to throw the word sin in because the sort of flip side of morality and following God's rules is sin.
Yes.
So maybe we could just have a couple of minutes maybe on how that works in relation to morality.
Morality. I think in the most simplest form, sin is missing the bullseye. If you are an archer and you're aiming for the bullseye, the center, the middle circle, which is perfection, which is where exactly you need to be and I need to be according to the great purpose and the plan that God has for us. Like anything outside of that target, let's say, is what you can bring under the word sin. So sin in my dictionary would be explained as missing the mark. So as Christians, we believe that we have all, and in fact the Bible tells us we have all fallen short and we have all sinned, meaning that we have all missed the mark. We're all broken. And we need someone who will rescue us. We need someone who will take the sin away from our lives, like help us not miss the mark anymore. And we need someone who will help us do that well. And that answer is in Jesus. And so in the things that we've talked about the foundation of faith and belief, the reconciling science and religion and morality and all of that, the truth is that we in ourselves, we're not enough. We will always be found lacking. And the thing that fulfills that and the thing that completes us is Jesus. And the only answer out of sin and that sinful nature, that broken nature in us, is in Jesus. And so that's a very simple answer to why we need something to help us, even in terms of morality. We use that. Morality is quite a big word, but you could even say things like common sense. What we consider common sense actually might not be common sense for a lot of people, or in different cultures and in different religions. What we would consider as just decency, like someone would say yeah, it's just a decent thing not to lie. It's a decent thing not to steal. But actually, that is a moral thing. And it's not easy. And, we all, at some point in our lives, we've all lied. We've all said things we shouldn't say, behaved in ways we shouldn't have behaved.
And regretted it as well.
And regretted it, absolutely. And, often we write it off as, oh, that's just decency. Actually, no. There is a deeper problem there, is that it's a moral issue and it's a brokenness issue.
Yeah, it's what we used to call in teaching doing the right thing.
Yes.
What are you doing the right thing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And just as well, we could talk for hours. The thing about sin as well and Jesus is the fact that we believe that Jesus died on the cross to save our sins. Now, that is a whole podcast on its own, to be honest.
I was trying to keep the jargons out of it.
Explaining that process is quite huge.
Yeah.
But we believe that Jesus paid the price for our sins so that we are now no longer in I was going to say condemnation, we're getting into jargon, but we're now no longer, we're free from the sin.
The power of sin.
From the power of sin, that's right, yeah. Free from the power of sin, exactly. And so that is, for Christians, that is a great and wonderful thing.
Yes.
I think I'm probably going to leave it on that note, though.
Sounds good.
Yes. Right. We'll be back again in the future with more questions in this podcast. But thank you, Forchie, for talking about it.
That's all right. And thank you for asking questions. And thank you for...
It's good,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. And if anybody listening has anything to add or have a question themselves, how are they getting in touch with us?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? radio@prayerhouse.uk would be a good way of doing it. That's absolutely. An email. And let us know what you think. We'll be back again, as I say, with some more questions for you in this podcast in the future. So stay listening to us right here on Prayer House Radio.